What is up, guys? So Cooper Webb, dad bod himself, is a 3-time champion and one of the sport's all-time greats. His mental strength, but I'll get into that in a minute. And there's some new information regarding the Lawrences and then forcing Joe Shimoda out at Honda. It's ugly. And the last thing I'd ever want to do is say Aaron Plesinger's name in a negative fashion, but I had a lot of people in Utah that are my friends that I grew up with that are casual fans. They love AP. Boy, were they disappointed on Saturday. And Chase Sexton, man, I gotta commend him. What a season. I know he got second. He's not the champion, but this dude he's the best at something. I'm gonna tell you what that is. If you haven't tried Nano-Extreme, a lot of the riders are already using it, not because they're sponsored, because it works. Rumor has it, Dr. Navarro has been using it on the young Hayden Deegan. I'm telling you guys, this is a perfect alternative to opiates. If you need a pain solution that really works, try Nano-Extreme. Go to Nano-Extreme, use code Cooksy and get free shipping. If you've got a big event coming up this summer and you're trying to figure out your training, you don't know how much you should do, should I do more, less? There's always a new trainer with the flavor of the week and some sort of fad diet. Don't worry about that stuff. Click the link. Talk to Coach Rob. You'll get a 30-minute consultation, and Coach Rob, who's one of the smartest people I've ever met, breaks it down scientifically and will have you dialed in for Mammoth, Loretta's, or whatever you want to hit this summer. Precision Transport, such a great shipping company. In fact, I'm trying to get them hooked up with NIU Power Sports to ship out the e-bikes that I partnered with. Hopefully they can work a deal. But I can tell you this, I know for dang sure, I hope they can work something out. Precision Transport is a shipping company that truly believes in customer service, tracking numbers, and reasonable pricing. So if you got to ship anything, hit up pretransport.com. And the deal is done with NIU Power Sports. Every single member, all you got to do is be a member. I think it's $2.99 a month. Trying to figure out a unique way to give you guys extra content. Sometimes I'll release stuff early for you, but I'm going to keep working on that. In the meantime, everybody's entered to win free stuff every month and a motorcycle. And this e-bike at the end of the year. Not an e-bicycle, a true motorcycle.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
All right, before I get into today's show, I gotta give this guy credit. This guy on YouTube, this is some of the best unintentional comedy that I've ever seen. So I wanted to share it, give him his respect. Anthony Nastasi, I think that's how you say his name, but the way he butchered mine, called me Kotsky.
I love Kotsky Media, but he has too many commercials.
He was kind, but he said Kotsky has too many commercials.
Yeah, that was a little aggressive compared to Deegan's takeout. So let me show you Deegan's.
A friend of mine sent this to me. He's like, dude, who's this guy? I have no idea. He's got 24,000 subscribers. Apparently, Anthony is a auto mechanic, and he does a lot of auto, quick tips and stuff. And I'll tell you what, seeing this guy's authentic point of view, I don't agree with him. I don't think he knows motocross that well. But the fact of his no shame in his game, this dude's doing a video with toilet paper on his eye.
Different racing tactics there. Deegan came in hot, knew he was going to be in the line. These guys can predict. They know. And bumped him right off the track, and there he goes. He's out of the race, right? Deegan had an easy win.
Look at his left eye, right above it. There's a big dot of toilet paper, like he cut himself and just jammed it up there. No shirt, just talking to his wife.
So I'm watching Kotsky Media. It says Sexton took a shot. AMA trying to silence Deegan.
His confidence is inspiring. The fact that he can just get in front of the camera and just say that stuff and post it. That is authentic, man. So whether you like his opinions or not, I respect it. I was like, I'm subscribing. So Anthony, I am a subscriber of yours. I appreciate, while I don't agree with you, I appreciate your authentic opinions. And I will say, I wish you had a shirt on, but I respect the fact that you're confident enough not to. The world needs more people doing YouTube videos with toilet paper on their face. And, well, I like the shirt, but hey, to each their own. Whatever you feel comfortable with, run it. You're the man, Anthony. So Cooper Webb and his dad bod got it done. In the beginning of this year, it's not that often that we get two generations of riders. You get a younger generation, and the older generation that's just been there hasn't quite exited. And it makes for a deep field. Think of 1990, and there's just been a few times that you get all the old dogs that are still at the peak of their game and the young guns that come in. We had that this year with Jet, Justin Cooper, and I would say Sexton's kind of in the middle there. But you still have Cooper Webb, Eli Tomac, and these legends of the sport at the top of their game. So to think with this field, I mean, you got Ken Roczen, Jason Anderson, both Lawrences, Jorge Prado, Malcolm Stewart, Aaron Plesinger. That is a seriously stacked field. And to think that Webb got it done against all those guys, and to find out that he had a torn thumb ligament the entire year and he just blocked it out, that's impressive. Cooper Webb has 5 total Supercross championships, 2 of the regional championships, and 3 of the big championships. Just think about how many guys and how many legends of this sport don't even have 1 Supercross championship. Cooper Webb, this little guy that just, if you asked what he did great, is there anything in particular? There's not like Chase Sexton, you could be like, dude, this guy has blitzing speed. Ken Roczen has this flow and talent. You know, everybody's got this thing that makes them exceptional. You know what Cooper Webb is? Cooper Webb can race. Cooper Webb knows how to win. That's it. If you broke him down in a video game, you would have all these tangibles that weren't very good. He probably wouldn't be a very good video game character because you can't measure the heart and the mental strength. Like, he just wills himself. Chad Reed had a little bit of it, but he also had a little bit more speed, I think. But he's very similar to Chad Reed in that sense. But you know what? Chad Reed only got 2 Supercross championships. Cooper Webb has 3. And I remember I was in the press conference after he won his very first championship, and I asked him about outdoors. He goes, I don't give a shit about outdoors. And he basically said the same thing in Salt Lake. He stopped the guy before they were even done. He's like, no, I don't care about outdoors. I do not like guys hiding injuries and doing that stuff, but I truly believe he did it for a purpose. Cooper Webb's one strength is mental toughness and knowing and manifesting. I swear he manifests this stuff. He has manifested beating Kenny so many times that he's actually ruined Ken Roczen. Think about how many wins Ken Roczen would have if you just took Cooper Webb out of the mix. He probably would have a championship. He'd have a crap load of wins. There was so many times. I know Ken got him this year at Daytona, but it's very rare. For the most part, Cooper Webb just flat owns him. But he's coming in with this thumb injury, and we'd all like to know about it because we want to know what's going on. But I believe he's really into that manifestation, and if you talk about it, it's worse. If you ignore it, it's not there. And he's so delusional, but it works. It absolutely works. So I don't think he was hiding the injury to be secretive or anything like that. I just think he just wanted to ignore it. If you act like it's not there, nobody will talk about it, and it's not there. It's not in his head. He could, at any moment when things got tough this year, he could have said, oh, my thumb, and bounced out. And nobody would have even said one word. He's riding with a torn thumb ligament. When we look back at Cooper Webb's career, we're going to look at Cooper Webb and be like, what was he so good at? And like I said, he's good at winning. He 100% believes he can get things done that nobody else thinks he can do. How many new fans, you see the old videos of James Stewart, you hear the way we talk about James Stewart and how great he was, and he was. I'm not downplaying any of that. He only had 2 Supercross championships. Chad Reed, another legend, Hall of Famer, one of the baddest dudes ever, and actually probably the rider that's most similar to Cooper Webb. Chad Reed has got 2 Supercross championships. He's got more than both those guys. He's got more than Rick Johnson, Eli Tomac, Jeff Ward, Chase Sexton. And then you look at the great riders that never even won one. Ken Roczen, Damon Bradshaw, Kevin Windham. These are legends of the sport. Just to put in perspective, the fact that this short little guy from North Carolina with this heart, that's like this determination, it's pretty impressive, man. So I want to give Cooper Webb his due. Sometimes you can get lucky and have a great year and get 1 championship, but if you get 3 championships spaced out, none of these were back-to-back. That is focus, determination, and just making it happen. If you ever want to show your kids what determination is and how to persevere in stressful situations, just show them Cooper Webb. And boy, Chase Sexton, he's going to need therapy. The amount of race wins and championships he's thrown away is crazy. It's kind of like Eli Tomac. Both these guys have thrown away a lot. I mean, Tomac gave away how many Supercross championships? Sexton's going to look back on his career and think about how many he could have had, or he probably won't. He'll just move forward. But I'm going to look back and be like, man, you just change a few things here or there, and he becomes one of the most dominant riders in the history of the sport because he has that raw speed. He's got that talent that would show up on a video game when you said, oh, whoop speed, oh, yeah, Sexton, and strength, Sexton. If you made a movie character as the champion, you wouldn't put Cooper Webb, you'd put Chase Sexton, but Cooper Webb is your actual champion. But I'll give Sexton credit, man. He finished out and he gave it everything he had. It was disappointing that so many guys went out with injury and the teammates played in such a factor into this championship. Justin Cooper, best teammate ever. But all that said, he still finished out this season with 4 out of 5 wins, and the one he didn't win, he got second. That's pretty darn good. The thing that nobody's really talking about is he's doing this in a season when he knows he's leaving this team and going to Kawasaki. I mean, look at how many times when guys sign with a different team, their focus shifts. It just doesn't go well. For whatever reason, when you sign Chase Sexton to a contract, if he signs for 3 years, you're going to get every single day of that 3 years. He's not checking out early. And there's something to be said for that, you know. That is a high character move by Chase Sexton. If you guys have ever left a job, you know what it feels like when you say you're leaving in a month. All of a sudden, it doesn't matter and things, like you don't have to do the extra. Sure, you'll show up and do your job, but are you going to do that little extra? Some people do. It's very rare. Sexton is one of those guys, and he's who I would point to if I showed my kids somebody to say, hey, when you're leaving a job, you give them the very best effort till the very end. Look at Chase Sexton. He never quits early on his teams. He signs that contract, he fulfills that contract. Check out Ride Strapped, goggles, glasses, shirts. My buddy Chris, just such a good dude. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate all your support, and check out Ride Strapped. They got some cool stuff over there. Just get a shirt. Get a Red Pill shirt or a strapped shirt, and they're the softest ever. I love these things. They are so comfortable. Check out Alias MX gear. They're almost out of MX gear, but they got some gloves left. They're sending me some for my NIU Power Sports electric motorcycle. And they still have plenty of bicycle stuff if you do road biking and you need some tights to train in. Hit up aliasmx.com. So I think when we look back on this series, a lot of the story to be told is the assistance by teammates. Yes, Cooper Webb got it done. But it's hard to not notice Justin Cooper out there running bodyguard for Cooper Webb, while Aaron Plesinger just wanted nothing to do with it. He was just trying to stay away from it. Apparently he's really good buddies with Cooper Webb, but his employer was going for Chase Sexton. He needs to win for his employer, but does he want to burn the relationship with his good friend Cooper Webb? It's really a rock and a hard place. And that performance by Plesinger in Salt Lake was not good. The last thing I'd ever want to do is say bad things about the Cowboy. He is probably the most popular rider on our sport and one of the nicest human beings on and off the track. But I had some really big Plesinger fans that showed up. They're casual fans. They don't go to a lot of supercrosses, but they were beyond disappointed with this effort. You know, they go there, they pay their money to go to one race a year, and they want to see their favorite rider, Aaron Plesinger, give a full effort. And they were pissed. They were truly cheated. They felt like he had no business being out there. He didn't want to be out there. And the way they explained it to me, they're like, Aaron Plesinger quit. Now, I don't know if that's quite the terminology for it, but he definitely wanted nothing to do with getting in the way of either championship contender. He honestly didn't want to be there. He was stuck in a car with 2 parents that are about to divorce, you know, on a road trip, and it was uncomfortable, and he just wanted out of that car so bad. I couldn't believe how he checked up and just let everyone go by him, and he did not have the fire that he's had earlier in this year. And I know KTM wanted him so badly to help them win a championship. That's his employer. That's who he signed with for next year. Sexton's leaving, but Aaron Plesinger's still going to be there. And I'll bet you the KTM executives were not thrilled with his performance in Salt Lake City. With Tom Vial winning that championship and being promoted to the 450 class, now you got Plesinger and Vial in the 450 class. Meanwhile, Tomac's available. I think if they knew Tomac was going to be available, they wouldn't have signed Plesinger, and they would have thrown whatever money they had at Eli Tomac. And I'm sure they're kind of annoyed right now because they wanted this championship so bad, and they needed help. Cooper Webb had help. He had Justin Cooper out there running bodyguard, you know, just getting around. He wouldn't pass his teammate. They needed Plesinger to help, and he didn't. That can't sit well with the KTM brass because they like team tactics. I don't know if you saw the 250s. They encouraged their riders to help the other riders. Bomera went out of his way to help those guys. Plesinger clearly wanted nothing to do with that. I'm not going to lie. If I knew he was that worried about battling with those 2 guys, I don't know. I think he should have maybe fake an illness, do something. I just don't like seeing him go out there and put in that effort that we know is not typical AP. That was not AP out there. That was some guy scared to get involved. But what he's done is he's put a little pressure on himself. KTM's going to be like, dude, really? So it's going to get tense, and he's going to go do his outdoor testing. And Obviously, nobody can stay mad at Aaron Plesinger. He's the nicest dude out there. But they're going to want some results, and they're going to want to see what he can do outdoors. Be like, dude, after that performance in Salt Lake and you didn't help us win the championship, they're going to want more out of AP. So I think that put a little bit of pressure on himself heading into outdoors. But he let down a lot of fans, and they were disappointed. Like I say, they pay to go to one race a year. They want to see the best effort out of their guy, and they felt cheated. So I've been researching around the Joe Shimoda, the Lawrence, the Honda, the Lucas Myrtle mess. If you want to get totally caught up, yeah, go back and watch some of the other videos about Lucas Myrtle, was the super agent, Lawrence brothers. Well, the Lawrence brothers do not like Lucas Myrtle anymore. They're really mad. Joe Shimoda, it's none of his business. He's just staying with his agent, Lucas Myrtle, Joe is like the most loyal, solid dude ever. And since he stayed with Lucas Myrtle, they want him out at Honda. Lawrence's pressured Honda to not re-sign Joe Shimoda because he stayed with Lucas Myrtle in the offseason. And Lucas actually downplayed this because he was really good at putting out the Lawrence's fires. When Joe Shimoda moved back to Florida, he thought since he's teammates and buddies with the Lawrences, he'd be able to train at their facility. They said, no, we got Hymas and Hammaker, so no, you can't train here. Yes, they helped him out, let him ride there, they threw him a bone, but they really did stiff him, and so he had to go over and find a new training facility. Like, he really thought he was part of their group, but he wasn't. Turns out, I don't think they even like Joe. And when I hear that, I'm like, wait a second, if you don't really like Joe, how do you not like Joe? First off, this is one of the best humans out there. We don't have a lot of great people in our sport. Joe is one of them. I don't know him really well, but I know the stories, and I know the things he's done, and the honor that he conducts himself with. If my kid were to grow up and act like Joe Shimoda, I would be so proud. Anyone who around this guy should hold their head up high, and the Lawrences should be disgusted picking on Joe Shimoda. So going back, when they used to call him Sushi, listen, Joe is not the kind of guy who's going to claim racism or cause any issues. He's just not that guy, and he didn't take it that personal. But now, knowing how they actually feel about him, it kind of changes that a little bit. Now, I'm not saying it's this full-on racial thing, but that's not cool, man. That's not cool to do that to a guy. Because what's he going to do? I mean, it's Joe Shimoda. He's not going to come back at you and do something or call it out. I don't like it. And the way they're coming off these days, going after Americans, that comment and calling Joe Sushi, man, it's not aging very well. And I'm very curious to see if the outdoor fans let the Lawrence brothers off the hook. Let's not forget, they took some serious shots at the American fans.
In America, you bump into someone there you could almost turn it straight into a fight or them just yelling. I don't think a lot of Americans do fight. It's more of just mouthing off kind of thing. And so far, being an American, obviously I'm a foreigner, and I'm winning a lot of the titles that are here, so I kind of understand it more now, because at first I'm like, I always kind of...
They are playing the victim card 100%. We're foreigners. You don't like us because we're foreigners. No, a lot of people don't like you because of the things you say. He was the first one to tell the crowd to suck it.
Super happy, and yeah, for everyone who doubted, suck it.
Which, like I said, I don't have a problem with that. But people are booing you. You tell them suck it, they're going to boo more. It is what it is. Deegan knows that, loves that. But then, poor Jet, like, dude, either you tell him to suck it and move on, but you can't play the victim and say suck it. I wonder if the American fans are going to let Jet and his brother have it. They're a little bit more hardcore. They're the ones that were flipping off Dylan Ferrandis. They're harsh. And, hearing what he said about Americans, saying that Americans aren't nice and that we don't fight, they'll just talk, like, he took some serious shots at us.
People in Australia just I kind of see a lot more pride in what they do, and they're a lot happier with a lot of things, like if you actually bump into someone, they're a lot nicer. In America, you bump into someone there you could almost turn it straight into a fight or them just yelling. I don't think a lot of Americans do fight. It's more of just mouthing off kind of thing.
And they're completely unfounded. I would 100% call it out if Americans were being rude to another nationality. And yes, French racers, you have a case. I'm sorry. The American fans are extra harsh on French riders. I don't know why. That is not true with Australians. We have never, that is just not something that the Americans even consider. If anyone's talking about Lawrence's, whether they like him or hate him, Australia never even enters the topic. They don't care where he's from. We kind of look at Australia almost like our own country. That's just how we view it over here, right, wrong, or indifferent. That's how we view it. Now, French, like I said, that one's French riders, you have a legit beef. And I'm not sure if some of this stuff around these Lawrence brothers is going to come out, but if any of this stuff comes out that I've been hearing, and I'm pretty sure it's accurate, it's going to be bad. But if you look, there's a pattern of behavior with the Lawrence camp and the way they treat people, the way they treat people around them, and the way they treated Joe has been disgusting. And if you take any one of these things by itself, it's not that big a deal. When you start stacking them up, it looks bad. With Darren punching Jed at the race and acting like a crazy mini dad, and then Darren at Hangtown telling the Honda mechanic, we only want to use 3 inches of the front suspension because we want it that way. Oh, and they let him, and he went out there and rode like a goon. He actually, I think he ended up like 17th or something, but that's the day he fell and RJ Hampshire's foot peg ripped his butt. If you want to go back and watch that race, check out Hunter Lawrence's front end. It's ridiculous. It looks like a chopper. But if you start adding up all their behavior, it's not a good look. But stay tuned. I'm not sure what's going to happen next, but I think the American fans are going to let the Lawrence brothers have it. And I don't know what's going to happen with some of the things I've heard, but like I said, I will let you know when I can. But I just want to show my support for Joe Shimoda. I'll tell you this much. Any team that signs him, you're going to get a hardworking, good teammate, and just a great guy to be around. I really hope somebody finds a spot for Joe Shimoda. This is one of the best 250 riders out there. And let's not forget, he won the first round. And if it wasn't for that pit board ruining his season, he might have been in that championship battle. That's how good he looked at the beginning of the year. It's just so hard after you have a major injury to ride through it and get back in shape. But I look for Joe Shimoda to be up front outdoors. He is strong and tough, and he might be consistently on that podium. You never know with Joe Shimoda. He might come out and win this whole thing. And man, I would love that. Honda and the Lawrence brothers sending the current 250 national champion packing. I know that's a huge ask, and Deegan's obviously the favorite, but just for Joe's sake, I'd sure like to see that. Anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate everything. Every single member, you are entered to win the NIU Power Sports X3IE motorcycle. I'm giving one away in December. I'll have it tested and dialed in for